This video is a response to a discussion between Robert Kuhn and Roger Penrose. And it has to do with, well, the fundamental model of reality and what mathematics is and how it fits in with the fundamental model of reality. So, or a fundamental model of reality. So he has a triune system, and it's interesting that Wolfgang Smith also has a triune system as his fundamental model of reality. And Roger Penrose uses what's called the impossible triangle. It's an illusion that it's drawn in a certain way to make a two-dimension. It's expressing a three-dimensional triangle in a two-dimensional image. So it's paradox, and he recognizes himself. He says that this is paradoxical, right? So he admits that his very model contains paradox, expresses paradox. And like I said in the last video that I made, paradox is revealing that there's a problem with the system that produced the paradox. There's something maybe very subtly incorrect about it, and that's what's spitting out a problem. You can't just sweep it under the rug and forget that there's a problem with this model that you're using. So my triune model of reality fixes this paradox. And it does so by recognizing that what is being described, what his triangle is trying to describe, is the state of superposition. But you can't have a state of superposition without spirit, or so the mind, body, spirit trinity is the description of the self, right? It's how self manifests when you describe it. And like I said in the other video, is that science has removed the spirit part out of it, and they're trying to just figure out the mind-body problem, which is dualistic, without including spirit at all. And this is what is produced when you do that. So the only way to get it, and this is unifying science with religion. This is. This is. So, I don't know how the lighting is, but this is my fundamental model of reality, and it's a triune system, but it's all of these lines are expressing each one is a holographic expression of the same information, that is the columns. And the center column, which science and mathematicians are trying to not include in their models, is the most important part, because it's from which everything arises and passes. It's the frame of reference to all experience. So, I'm going to talk about his model. So, he believes, and most mathematicians believe this, is that math is out there, it exists in some Platonic realm, and it's somehow outside of thoughts. But my model places all of mathematics into the mental realm. It says that, this is really important, is that mathematics only exists while a mathematician is mathing. So math isn't written on some magical tablet somewhere. I don't know. It's exactly the thoughts in the mathematician's head. So math exists only while the observer, the middle column, when the mathematician, which is the observer, is mathing. Math is not apart from the voice in your head. The voice in your head gives rise to mathematics. So, so this has changed from mathematics being the base of everything, and it's put into the mental realm now. So mind, in my model, mind is the voice in your head. It's thoughts. That's all mind is. We got to keep it simple. We can't go down, we can't follow the red herring of electrical impulses in the brain. That is literally a red herring. This is the tool that we have in order to figure all this out. And developing other tools through technology to investigate this tool, the functioning of electrical impulses in the brain, is literally a red herring. You're getting distracted. Investigating the tool that is required to figure out this whole problem, this whole mystery. Investigating the tool with other tools is literally a red herring. You're completely lost, you're distracted, you're not on the path of truth at all. Sorry. It has to be this tool that's used, and there's no point in trying to figure out how the tool works. You just use the tool to figure this shit out. All right, so this model says that math does not exist apart from the thoughts occurring in the consciousness of the mathematician while they're mathing. And even symbols, like even if there are mathematical symbols, equations written down on a two-dimensional surface, that isn't math until a consciousness observer, a mathematician, interprets those symbols. That's not math. It's just sitting there. It's like, right, the observer is the top, is the end. It's paramount in all of this. The observer is what makes the interpretation that gives all of this life, I guess, or validity. So, yeah, so now we've put back, we put religion basically back in to the equation, right, into the inquiry. And these are the words that religions have used to describe this potential, the absolute reality. Is heaven, right? Christianity describes this, the absolute, as heaven, and Taoism has it as the Tao, and Buddhism has it as nirvana, and Hinduism describes it as moksha. So this is where this, let's call it a singularity, the singularity, if you will, is the unification of all of these religions. They're just using different words to describe the same thing. So, and then in this model, thoughts, mind is the voice in your head, which includes mathematics. When a mathematician is thinking about math, that's math. That's it. And imagination, right? Like you can close your eyes and you can fantasize about things and you can imagine things. And then dreams is also included in mind. And then psychedelic experiences are also included in this model of mind. And then the body is very simple. It's the sensations. That's it. So I'm not including thoughts in with sensations. This is all inside, but you can't find the source of thoughts. Can't find the source of any of this, the voice in your head, from outside the body. And all of this stuff, you can find the source of this outside the body. So that's basically the body. This is the division line, is between mind and body, is thoughts and sensations. So these are not, they're not causally related in any way, right? Just like how the definition of a curve, the definition of concave relates directly to the curve, and the definition of convex relates directly to the curve. In those definitions, there's no mention of the convex in the definition of the concave, and in the definition of the concave, there's no mention at all of convex. They're both relating directly to curve. And this is a perfect superposition. It's a perfect superposition. The reality is the curve, and the appearance of the curve is the duality. So mathematics, which is over here, is not causal. There's no causal relationship between mathematics and the physical world. And it's not controlling the physical world at all. It's mirroring. You consider these as maybe mirrors facing each other, and that there's the image in the middle. So if we look objectively at how mathematics really influences the physical world, well, that's technology. right? The only provable, obvious way in which mathematics interacts with the physical world is technology. There, there's nothing showing. There's only a very, very, very precise correlation between this and this, and people, physicists and scientists and mathematicians, get that really, really, really close correlation to be causation, but it's not. You see, they both are parallel systems operating directly from spirit, just like concave and convex are not relating to each other or causal in any way. There's the convex does not cause the appearance or existence of concave, and concave does not give rise causally to the concave, whatever, which way I had it. I'm dyslexic, so they all blend into one eventually. so, and this is a perfect expression of entanglement, right? This moves, it doesn't really, let's say that there's an object between two mirrors, but you can't see that object. You don't recognize the object. When the object moves, the mirror images both in perfect synchronicity, like at the exact same time, from the perspective of the object in the middle, right? If you could have both mirrors in your periphery, you move your arm and you can see that in this mirror the arm moves, and in this mirror the arm moves at the exact same time, and they're both opposites of each other, right? So this is exactly entanglement. But if you take the perspective of one of the mirrors, it will appear as though there's a time delay, right? Because you're taking the perspective of one of the appearances. You're not in the middle with both in the periphery. So from the perspective of, if you if you want to take the perspective from the mind mirror, that will appear as though it's causing the motions in the body mirror or the physical mirror. And then if you assume the physical mirror to be fundamental, then it appears as though, right, it appears as though functioning of the brain gives rise to the thought realm. But they don't. So, and the only way to find this out, so the only way to test for the validity of this theory is to investigate this row, the observer. This goes in here. I usually have this mind, body, spirit at the top, but it's here. But this goes in here. See? Spirit, which is, and this is you, right? This is every human is mind, body, spirit. So the search for self and the search for reality is the same thing. The self and reality is fundamentally, finally revealed to be the same Tao that cannot be defined. So we've measured everything that we can possibly measure, except, so now we have to stop measuring things. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle says that physics has reached its climax. That's it. We've gone as far as we can go, and it's time to shut that investigation down because it's leading freaking nowhere now. The memo has been sent out, right? Heisenberg's uncertainty principle is the memo that the universe is sending to physicists, and the physicists got the memo, but they just chose to ignore what it's saying. They just chose to ignore it. They put it directly into the garbage bin, into the recycle bin in their, right? So we have to, and then Gödel's incompleteness theorem is the same memo for mathematicians. Mathematics has reached its climax. It's pinnacle. It's Gödel's incompleteness theorem is revealing that mathematics is one of these systems that will just go on forever, never knowing whether it's right or wrong. And my video that's explaining how mathematics is actually the incorrect interpretation of a message, that explains what mathematics is. So you might want to check that one out as well. If you watch the video on the resolution of the greatest philosophical mathematical question ever, and you watch the last video that I made, whatever the hell it's entitled, and then you watch this one, it's all laid out. It's all very obvious if you move towards simplicity. And so that's the theory. And in order to test this theory, to make it scientifically based, right? You have a theory, and then you test the theory to see if it's valid. It's your own life. The life of your name here is the experiment to test whether this is correct or not. But the mode of investigation isn't measuring stuff anymore. It's finding out who you are, who and what you are. It's investigating the investigator. It's observing the observer. This is where we need to go now. Science is done. It's done. Guys, come on. Like, the best, one of the top scientists that's ever freaking lived came up with this, and he himself admits that it's paradoxical, that it doesn't quite make sense. And my last video shows why it's just a little bit off. So I even know why it's incomplete. So I know who's this Roy Dobson guy, and who gives a fuck what he has to say. But it's all here. And if you start investigating thought-free awareness, no matter how difficult it is, you need to start investigating your own awareness. Thought-free awareness. Thought has taken us as far as it possibly can. It's been revealed now that it's incomplete, and thought itself isn't what we think it is, but I won't get into that. Okay, so this is it. I can't really spell it out anymore. They're parallel systems, they're not causal. It's a triune system, but you have to accept that the ultimate, absolute, final, fundamental reality is completely unmeasurable or unmeasured, whatever you want to say. It's unmeasurable or it remains unmeasured. It's complete observation, pure observation without any bias. That's what it is. And a word is a bias. A thought is a bias. I walk around in the thought-free state, and in that state, no individual separately existing objects arise because there's no words attached to those things, right? A separately existing object is a thing with a word attached to it. It's a sensation. It's a, a, a separately existing, the appearance of a separately existing object is a certain combination of agreed upon sensations, which makes up a thing, and then you attach a word onto that specific group combination of sensations and call it spoon. But there is no, see what I did there? There is no, and you know that saying, there is no spoon, right? Matrix reference. But if you just say there is no, then there isn't. So, Roger, may I call you Roger? In order for you to figure this out, you need to drop all of everything that you've done for your entire life and just start freaking meditating. Sounds easy, right? All right, well, this is it. I hope that the sun isn't. Anyway, that's it.